The U.S. urgently send important ammunition and weapons to Ukraine. Ukrainian intelligence news broke out regarding the arrest of the Russian Deputy Minister of Defense. Poland announced that it would help Ukraine bring men of military age back home. Russia calls for a ban on the deployment of destructive weapons in space.
U.S. arms aid flowed to Ukraine again in just a few days. Weapons from the Pentagon's stockpile in Germany will be transported quickly by rail to the Ukrainian border. U.S. officials said the country's arms shipments could soon flow back to Ukraine as soon as the long-stalled aid package was passed by the House of Representatives on April 20 and President Biden quickly signed it into law. After the ratification procedure in the Senate, weapons from the Pentagon's stockpile in Germany will be transported quickly by rail to the Ukrainian border. The newly cleared bill will provide Ukraine's combat effort with about $60 billion. Of this, nearly $14 billion was given to train, equip and finance the needs of the Ukrainian army. Kyiv will also receive $10 billion in forgivable or deferred loans to support Ukraine's economy and budget, including support for the energy sector and infrastructure restoration. About $23 billion in the aid package is used to supplement weapons and equipment for the U.S. itself. After the House approved the aid package, President Biden called on the Senate to quickly implement the measure to help meet the urgent battlefield needs of Ukrainian forces. It is expected that the bill will be passed by the Senate as early as April 23. Aid weapons are ready. For months, Ukrainian officials have complained that the political deadlock in the U.S. Congress has caused a serious shortage of ammunition for them in their fight against Russia. Ukrainian troops on the front line had to ration artillery shells, and morale was severely affected. U.S. officials have not specified what weapons will be sent to Kyiv under the new aid package, but Major General Patrick Ryder, a Pentagon spokesman, told reporters on April 19 that there could be more. Many types of anti-aircraft and artillery weapons. Ukrainian intelligence helped Russia arrest Deputy Minister Ivanov. Kremlin talks about treason. Is Ukrainian intelligence involved? On April 24, Ukrainska Pravda newspaper quoted a source from the Defense Intelligence Agency of Ukraine, DIU, saying that Russia's arrest of Deputy Defense Minister Timur Ivanov is related to this agency. Specifically, in March 2024, DIU conducted a special campaign to access a significant amount of Mr. Ivanov's secret information and official documents. The source told Ukrainska Pravda that, although Russia reacted and tried to secure the servers involved, the cyber attack was successful and achieved its goal. Immediately after Ukrainian intelligence accessed Ivanov's official documents, Russian investigative agencies opened an investigation into him for corruption. As a result, Ivanov was detained on suspicion of accepting bribes. Dizzying progress. According to Lenta newspaper, the entire arrest of Russian Deputy Defense Minister Timur Ivanov took place almost at breakneck speed. On the afternoon of April 23, he was still attending a meeting with the Standing Committee of the Ministry of National Defense, but in the evening he had to work with the investigation agency. Timur Ivanov was arrested by law enforcement on the evening of April 23 at work. He was charged under Article 290, receiving bribes on an especially large scale, of the Criminal Code of the Russian Federation. Mr. Denis Baluev, Ivanov's defense lawyer, said that early on the morning of April 24, he was immediately taken to Baumany District Court, a court that usually works from 9 a.m. every day. At this time, not yet 9 a.m., the court was open. We walked in, everything was quiet, everyone was working. The investigation said he, Ivanov, could hide, influence to the witness and destroy evidence. The defense argued that there was no evidence that the client could or wanted to do this. He, Ivanov, only explained that he had to take care of himself. Children, there is absolutely no need to be sent to a pretrial detention center, and I affirm that I will not avoid investigation, said lawyer Baluev. However, at 8:30, the judge announced the decision to detain Timur Ivanov. The Moscow Times quoted information from the Baumany District Court as saying that investigators have reason to believe that Ivanov received bribes on a particularly large scale in the form of property services, during the process of signing contracts for the ministry. National Defense. Ivanov has denied the charges against him. Previously, immediately after the arrest took place, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu signed a decision to dismiss Mr. Ivanov from the position of deputy minister. Poland promised to help Ukraine bring men of military age home. Poland announced that it would help Ukraine bring men of military age home in the context that Kyiv is seriously lacking human resources in the war with Russia. Polish Defense Minister Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz said on April 24 that the country is ready to help Ukraine bring male citizens of military age back to the country to support Kyiv in the more than two-year war with Russia. Mr. Kosiniak-Kamysz told Polsat News Television that Poland had previously offered to assist Ukraine in repatriating people of military service age. I think many Poles are indignant when they see young Ukrainians in hotels and cafes, while we, Poland, have to work very hard to help Ukraine, he said. The Eurostat database estimates that about 4.3 million Ukrainians were living in European Union countries as of January, of whom about 860,000 were adult men. Poland has granted temporary protection status to 950,000 Ukrainians, the second largest number after Germany. Any support is possible, Mr. Kosiniak-Kamysz said about how Poland would react if Kyiv requested help repatriating men with expired passports. In addition, the Ukrainian government on the same day announced new regulations, according to which passports for men of military age can only be issued within the country instead of at foreign diplomatic missions. Therefore, men aged 18 to 59 living abroad will not be able to renew an expired passport or apply for a new one. Previously, Ukraine announced on April 23 that it would stop consular services for men of military age who are abroad. The only exception to the rule is that Ukraine will still handle the necessary services for these people to return to their country. This move may cause Ukrainian men living abroad to return home to carry out administrative procedures that Kyiv's diplomatic agency previously assisted in carrying out. According to Reuters, this is considered Ukraine's effort to promote military recruitment efforts when the war of attrition with Russia shows no signs of cooling down. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba said in a statement that he had ordered measures to restore what he described as fair treatment of military-age men. Russia calls for a ban on all weapons in space. Russian news agency Interfax said on April 25 that Russia voted to veto a draft resolution submitted by the US and Japan to the United Nations Security Council, UN, on banning the deployment of weapons of mass destruction, including nuclear weapons, in outer space. A Security Council resolution needs to receive 915 votes in favor and not have any veto votes among the group of 5 permanent members, including Russia, China, the US, France, and the UK. In addition to Russia's veto, China abstained from voting on the draft submitted by the US and Japan. Russian ambassador to the UN Vasily Nebenzia said that Moscow voted veto because Russia wanted a ban on all weapons in space, not just weapons of mass destruction. In fact, Russia and the United States signed the Outer Space Treaty in 1967, which prohibited the parties from placing into orbit around the Earth any object carrying a nuclear weapon or any other type of destructive weapon, any other series. Mr. Nebenzia said that the draft just submitted to the Security Council was absurd and politicized. I repeat that the United States and its allies some time ago announced plans to deploy weapons in space, Mr. Nebenzia stated. Before the official vote on the US-Japan draft, the UN Security Council conducted another voting session on the proposal to amend the draft submitted by Russia and China. However, the proposals from Russia and China only received 7 votes in favor, so they were not included in the draft.